I want to walk you through 6 major internet work assignments that kind of make up what it's all about when we start talking about planning the internet process. Well, we have search engine optimization, SEO, which is really, again, organic search results. Now, I want to kind of just step through this with a little detail, and I want you to bear with me because I think as you listen to what I want to say, you'll begin to associate the level of work, the level of precision, the need for planning, and the need for budget. If we take item number 1, there are basically 3 content issues that make search engine optimization work best. There's text, words, list, content, descriptions of pictures that have to be done correctly. We've talked about Panda, and Panda basically is Google's edict, and it's an edict that we are not going to take just any old sloppy text. We are using artificial intelligence to read and understand the intent of the person doing the browsing. And we're going to serve up the sites that are obeying the rules of good copy, that address facts and information, that has contrasting information in it. This procedure would work better than this other procedure, even though I'm not providing this procedure. We want to see, that is Google saying this, we want to see that the person gets the best result. That takes time. And that's one of the reasons that we are rewriting websites. We are redesigning websites annually now. They're no longer, websites are no longer good to have a year and a half or 2 years up. A website today has a half-life of about a year. Anyone trying to get by with a website that has not been updated in the last year is basically stepping on their tail, and they're getting less than they should be getting. And of course you have images. Well, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words and videos are worth 1,000,000 words, but let's talk about images. Images have become very, very hard to acquire. Pictures of patients that are willing to talk about their stories, particularly if you're doing facial procedures. Images of patients that have to give you now permission to use their images. Even the images that you see that are stock photos, those now belong to the Getty Museum and a bunch of other photo organizations that will in fact sue you if you've used them inappropriately. And of course we don't do this because everything we do we buy, and we also make sure you own when we design your website. So the acquisition of text, images, use of text and images takes time, takes strategic thought. And of course videos, the most precious part of search engine optimization, can be the most difficult to acquire. And we'll be talking in a moment about the doctor's role, the manager's role, the internet and social media coordinator's role, our role, and possibly a consultant's role in terms of how you acquire them. Let's look at electronic mail advertising. Without a doubt, I can tell you that the majority of our clients, and I'm saying our clients, are misusing this resource. This is one of the most valuable resources that you have in your entire practice. Why do I say misusing it? They're misusing it because they don't have a strategic plan. Their strategic plan doesn't deal with very clean and sophisticated ways of building that list of people that have opted into that list that want to use your services. Things like spending the time to go back and look at the old files and mining the files with people's addresses, physical addresses, their names and services they possibly had in the past, and then going back and talking to them to build a list bigger. They are not taking those lists and breaking the list down into categories by age, by gender, by services provided, by services provided. That is not happening as consistently as we'd like to see it happen. These are patients that you control. These are patients that you've got to keep your brand in front of them because Google is putting your competitor's brand in front of them. Google has a system where they know who is doing the shopping and looking on the internet. And if that person has friends and relatives that are using your competition, they're putting their competition's pictures, their competition's picture in front of them. That's what I mean by attrition. So there needs to be a plan for your e-blast. There needs to be a schedule for your e-blast. Dates need to be set because you're not the only one sending these announcements out anymore. So you want to be ahead of the crowd, and you want to be fresh, and you want to have calls to action. The copywriting has to be clever, has to be well thought through. It cannot be cluttered. You want to be sure that the e-blasts have hyperlinks back to your website, back to relevant pages on your site. We call them landing pages. In the old days, we would set up pages that had a specific function to be viewed only if you click on a link. Today, every page on a website is a landing page. Again, planning is needed. So just putting together e-blast is much more work than you think, and that's part of the services you pay us for. We have clients that will only do 1 or 2 e-blasts a year. yet they're paying us to do more, and they're not calling us. So I'm not balling you up, clients. We appreciate your business, but we know that when you win, we win. If you don't win, we lose. Reputation management. Wow. This is a biggie because, again, this is another social media phenomena going on the internet that many of us have taken for granted up until lately. Put your name in and do a search. In every city guide, every health guide that has your name, you want to be sure your picture's there correctly, your address is correct, and your telephone number is correct. We talked about this in our last session with regard to what is going on with the recent hummingbird change and with the combination of pigeon, what's going on with pigeon. What Google is saying is our computers are so powerful that we can actually tell you what your status is across the board, not just on our platform, but on other platforms. Is your telephone number used uniformly correctly or the same on all platforms? Are your service descriptions matching the Google Plus profile that you're putting on other platforms? So you want to be sure that you've not only claimed those listings on those management sites, but you are maintaining them and updating them, and you have a schedule in your plan to go back and revise them and add to them. You want to be sure that you're taking your patient success stories, the patients that are walking through praising you, and giving them a little card that gives them the addresses of the websites that you'd like to have them post those comments to. Pay per click. Well, for a few years leading up to this point, pay per click was considered a black hat trick in a sense, or something that I don't want to do, I don't have to do because I've got organic working for me. Well, the realities are pay per click is an option that most of our clients will and are undertaking, but not as a routine way of acquiring patients. Pay per click is being used for basically three situations. One, the least powerful, branding reinforcement. You already have top positions on a page when your search. As a matter of fact, several of your pages will pop up on a given search when it's done correctly. Now you're now at the top of the listing of the paid advertisements or on the side. So your name is appearing over and over and over again, and so a person says, oh, wait a minute, this must be the real deal. This must be people that I should be dealing with. So pay per click is something that reinforces a brand. Pay per click is something that announces something that is new, that is available, is hot, because it's appearing on television, it's appearing in print magazines, and you want to be in that parade that let them know that you in your area are providing those services. Now with Google's strategy through Google Plus to localize you, that is to put circles around your practice so that you're getting people principally from the center of that circle, not reaching far out. And if you're a facial specialist, as you've heard me say in the past, your reach is throughout the world. Really, people will travel anywhere for the best. They don't want to. They only have one face. But the point I want to make here is pay per click might be something you're using to make sure you don't get missed, and it might be something that you can actually take yourself outside of the confines of that concentric circle that Google is creating around you, a fence that says you only really need to market in an area. And if you think about that more closely, that fence has also your competition tied up in that fence. So your commodity service is being shared with other people within a finite number. So we've got to basically have a plan to put that in place. So that becomes very important that we get that thought through carefully. Now, if we go a little further, I'm going to skip posting and hashtagging right here for a moment. We go to social media management. I don't think we need to dwell on this because I think you understand that social media management is a time consumer. One of the things I'm noticing within some of our clients, they'll come to us and say, well, Greg, you've done an expert job of setting us up with regard to our social media. We're getting great postings on our Facebook and Google Plus, and we're getting good results from the hashtagging that we're doing. And that's really where that should be, by the way. The hashtag is in the wrong position. We're getting great results for our hashtagging. That we understand hashtagging is kind of an instant SEO. It's kind of like an immediate PR program, but it doesn't last like search engine optimization. We'd like to have you just continue doing the social media management for us. Here's where that patient care coordinator, actually internet service provider coordinator, comes into play, and it should be somebody in your office. So yeah, you can use an outside consultant, but we find that most of the outside consultants' work will either be overkill in the wrong spot, rubber stamp that's being used over and over again, repurposed information that's not done very creatively, and really doesn't really help you. Referral site traffic, another area that's not really used properly because there's not a lack of a plan. I'll give you some examples. We ask our clients to give us the names of the suppliers and vendors that they're dealing with so that we can create links, backlinks. And by the way, there are good backlinks and there are bad backlinks. We can create backlinks to your site. Google wants to know that you as a website, or your website, is associated with other larger sites that are even more powerful. So that's called a backlink. Now, in addition to that, it's your job as our client to go to your suppliers and tell your suppliers you want to be sure that the link on their site is the proper link on your site, going to the proper page on your site, talking about the proper service that they're involved with on your site. Now, when you have a two-way linkage going on, both your link to their site and their link to your site, you have SEO power at its very, very best. Now, obviously, you've got to be vigilant. You've got to negotiate. And in some cases, you may have to do some level of purchasing in order to get that particular backlink. I would be surprised if that is the case. I know a few cases where the vendors will say to you, we have so many people in your area, we really are giving preference to the people that are purchasing the most from us. Well, I'll leave that alone. I think you can read the tea leaves on that. Lead management. Now, here's another area that you as clients, we would like to have you better understand. Yes, we do manage your email. Yes, we do give you statistics on your email volumes so you can see what's going up, what's going down. Yes, we have a database of services that are most popular and aren't popular. Yes, we do use that information to optimize your website. But you have something we don't have. You have phone call inquiries, which are very important that your websites will generate. And we need to work more collaboratively in that. You need to give us more information. The more information you can give us to add to our database of emails, the better job we can do of that. Now, let's go one step further. Let's look at this top row. We have the doctor,